So I'm walking hard, doing my exercise, working for my life, working for my stuff.
This was taken at the beginning of 2013. I had gained 100 pounds after losing 152 pounds. It happened so quickly
that I need help. I can't do this alone. I need help.
In a couple of days, I will have been here for 4 months.
Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are going to be talking about Xiomara, who is someone that has been posting their weight loss journey in quotes, for a very long time. They've actually been on different TV shows trying to lose weight, and sadly, recently there has been quite the downturn in their health, and they've really been struggling. But before we get into that, I do want to talk a little bit about their history of them talking about and sharing their weight loss journey online, because this is something they've been doing for a long time. Honestly, like before social media was what it is now, they were on different TV shows talking about wanting to lose weight. And this has been quite the journey that I think is very, very interesting to look at, because I think it is a perfect example of someone wanting to lose weight and then getting distracted, in my opinion, by social media and the likes and comments and attention that you get from that. And that distraction can end up really, derailing someone's life, but especially their weight loss journey. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. So the story of Xiomara actually starts here, which is Dr. Drew, and he had a show called Dr. Drew Life Changers. Now, we're not going to listen to the audio from these clips because I'm pretty sure I will get copyrighted, but as you can see, Xiomara was a fan of this show, and so she wrote into them, that's what these videos are talking about. She wrote into them saying, hey, I want help losing weight, because she was a really big fan of, at the time, The Biggest Loser, which was really popular back in like 2010, 11, 2013, stuff like that, right? And she was only 15 years old, right, when she did this. And so what ended up happening, as you can see on screen, Dr. Drew brought in the winner and as well as one of the other finalists from that season's The Biggest Loser, which Xiomara was a huge fan of. And what they did was they actually sent them to Xiomara's school when she was 15, and they ended up like going there and saying, we are going to help you lose weight, which is actually crazy because they ended up like showing up in her classroom and in the Biggest Loser t-shirts, which, it seems that she was okay with that and she was excited about it, but that is like the last thing that I would have wanted as a 15-year-old in high school that struggles with their weight, but whatever. But what you can see here on the screen is, they're with her giving her a necklace saying, hey, we're going to be there for you whenever you are trying to lose weight, whatever your struggles are, we're going to be there to help you. And that's kind of where everything started for her. And what I think is very interesting is if we skip over here, this is very interesting. So this is on the Dr. Drew Life Changers TV. This is on this YouTube channel, okay? So this is a vlog that they had uploaded, which was something that they were doing. There was I think there's 3 vlogs that I was able to find, that Rachel was able to find, let's be honest. Shout out to Rachel, that we were able to find of Xiomara posting her weight loss and trying to share her journey, because people wanted to keep up with her. Viewers were curious about what was going on. And this is something that I think we can play a little bit of this audio so you guys can kind of get a little bit of a vibe on who this person was while they were, literally a minor, right? This is in 2011, as it says right here. So this was quite a long time ago at this point, right?
Hey, it's Xiomara Lara, and I don't know if you guys could see me. Look, I'm sweating. Okay. So I'm walking hard, doing my exercise, working for my life, working for my stuff, and then I see some guy, right? And he's like 400 pounds, and he's staring at me. He's just staring at me. And he stops and he says, oh my God. He's like, wow. He's like, I'm an emotional eater. I can't stop. And he almost started crying. He's like, how do I do that? He's like, I need so much help. I just have my daughter, and I'm an emotional eater, and I can't stop. And I'm just like, you're asking me for advice? And I was like, I'm 15 years, I started crying. I was like, I'm 15 years old and this is my life. I'm tired of living like this.
So I don't think we need to watch the whole video, but you guys get the idea, right? So she was currently at the time losing weight. She had lost, I think, about 30 pounds at this point, and she was sharing updates with this Dr. Drew, the people that were watching the show. I don't know how many people were watching the show at that point, but she was apparently motivating some random person on the street, and she was excited, right? It was clear. And I think the reason that this hits for me is because it reminds me so much of me at that age. Like when I was that age, 15 years old was like, not long. I mean, about 5 years before I started losing weight, but I just remember being all like consumed with weight and my size and wanting to lose weight and wanting to help other people and like, thinking that I'll never be able to lose weight. And I can just imagine if I was teleported onto a TV show at that time and there was all of this support around me and people were saying that I was inspiring them, I would have been trying to do the same thing, right? Like putting out videos, trying to help people. And so I'm sure that this was a very emotional time for her, especially, again, this is someone that's 15 years old that has been broadcast now to, I would say, I wouldn't say the world, probably at least the nation of the US, right? Like this was a show that a lot of people had seen, so people were curious about what was going on. Now, where the story kind of takes a turn is going to be this first Instagram post that we're going to be going over, okay? And so this Instagram post was posted in 2021, but this picture that we see here is from 2013, okay? And it goes on to say, event sesh. This was taken at the beginning of 2013. I had gained 100 pounds after losing 152 pounds. It happened so quickly. I am not an addict to drugs or alcohol. Shoot, who am I kidding? I can drink a couple bottles and smoke. I just know food is my drug. It's a gosh darn reality. I tell everyone I'm okay, but I'm not. I know you're reading this and I know you're watching me. I'm falling. I don't want pity. I don't want you to tell me I'm beautiful. I want you to save my life. I don't want to live to eat. I want to eat only to live my purpose in this life. I'm meant for great things, singing off to Zyland, right? I don't know exactly what that last part means. So it was clear at this point, right? She was struggling. She was already struggling in 2013. She had, gained a good amount of weight. I think people were curious because she kind of had disappeared on the internet. She wasn't really posting that much. And when she was, it was apparently like only really like kind of like face and like, bust level, right? So she wasn't really showing what her body looked like. So people were curious. So this was kind of a post letting people know what was going on, what had happened, which, I think anyone that would have been really following it was probably pretty obvious. When someone kind of does that, that's usually what happens, right? When they kind of disappear. And so there was clearly a lot of stuff going on, but the next few things that happen only get worse, in my opinion. But this is when the shift from I am a big person that is trying to lose weight online, that is trying to share those struggles, shifts into I am a big person online and I am just going to monetize the fact that I am a big person online and I look different than a lot of people. And there are certain groups of individuals that are very interested in bigger people. And the problem with people becoming complacent with their weight or almost encouraged maybe to gain weight, because there is a stark difference from the stuff that we just talked about to the things that we are going to talk about. And one of the biggest things, and I mean this with love and respect, is going to be her weight and her health drastically changes from these images that you're seeing now to what we are about to look at. Fast forward to this was uploaded only a few years ago, right? So we are now at 2022, July 5th, 2022, and Xiomara uploaded this video, which is titled Obese, Homeless, and Awake, Part 2, A Cry for Help. Now, obviously, there's a Part 1. We're not going to go over that, but I think this is interesting because this is her really struggling with, obviously, her weight, but she is now kind of turning to the internet for help, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But when you start to invite people to help, you start to invite a little bit of criticism. And I think that kind of started happening around this point as well. But it was clearly someone that was really struggling. A little bit of a trigger warning if you don't like watching people cry. That's what we're going to look at here. We're not going to watch the whole video because it's 8 minutes, but I don't think it's necessary. But I do think that these, 1 to 2 minutes is important. So let's go ahead and see what she's saying here.
says, where there is a will, there is a way. God has you. A lot of people may know me from a TV show that I was on when I was 15. I reached out to them and asked for help. And I was 15. I was already going through unimaginable things.
So obviously she's talking about the Dr. Drew show, right?
I'm 26. And it's taken me this long to realize that I need help. I can't do this alone. I need help. I need help. I need somebody to step in. I need guidance. I am a fighter, and I have been fighting for my life since the day I was born.
All right, so you guys get the idea. Sorry, I had to put it on 2x speed because it's a little too hard for me to watch. But she is asking for help, which, you know, in and of itself isn't a terrible thing. But as you can see, we have a GoFundMe attached to that as well, where she goes on to write, "Wow, finally a chance to express myself through words instead of video. I am utterly embarrassed that I am making a GoFundMe. I've worked so hard throughout my years to make sure I never end up here, yet here I am. Today I ask you to look beyond my body or my challenges, look beyond my image. You may think or see me as some, see me for who I really am, just another human peer trying to get my mind out of the mud. Many people like to judge me and ask me why I'm asking for help. I have been out of work due to lumbar back issues, and I still have been desperately looking for work. I am behind on rent, phone bill, internet, and more, and I am searching not only for help to get situated or a place to live, but also help with weight loss. My body needs change, and my mind needs change. I want to apologize in advance for my loved ones or friends on TikTok/YouTube. I never meant to let anyone or myself down. I've come to the realization that everyone needs help, no matter your skin color or blood type. I posted 2 YouTube videos in hopes that maybe one angel can hear my prayers and my dreams. I am a dreamer. I am a leader. Please help me get back on my feet. Actions speak louder than words, but trust in me. Take a chance on me. My phone will be disconnected soon, and I am in need of a place to live. I thank you in advance for helping me out today, and I pray that you and your loved ones are taken care of. Thank you, XOXO, right? So clearly, this is someone that is going through a lot, right? Going through a lot at the time. But I think that it's one of those things that when you start to kind of like post GoFundMes and stuff like that, especially if you're starting to post more than one, people's goodwill only lasts for so long. And I really do think that around this time, while I'm sure that there were a lot of people that were, you know, felt sorry for her, I think that there was sadly probably a turn in how people were reacting to this stuff. And I'm sure that that was probably not very easy to deal with, because clearly this is someone that was going through a lot, right? And I think it's interesting because obviously, like, you know, the lumbar back pain, that's stuff that there are, you know, there's going to be a correlation with your weight. And I think that it's almost like she's going back in time when she was 15, hoping that this show, Dr. Drew, was going to solve her problems. At the end of the day, there's no one person that she's going to reach out to that's going to be able to give her the motivation to lose weight other than herself, right? It's fine to ask for help. You have to understand that help can only get you so far. You have to be the one that wants to put in the effort, put in the work, and make that change. So you can't just expect to hope to reach out to someone and someone will be able to, you know, see your GoFundMe and then be able to change your life. It's one of those things, like with weight, a lot of it comes down to your own choices and the things that you are doing. And you can't just expect, it's not the same as someone coming and paying your rent, right? It doesn't really work that way. There is a level of, you know, you putting in the work to make those things happen, right? And so this is where things kind of really start to shift a little bit. Now we're going to be getting into the realizing that being a spectacle can be something that probably ends up paying her bills, right? Because she was clearly really struggling with wanting to, you know, needing a place to live, needing help with phone bill, all of that stuff, right? So this was something that she was really struggling with. And that's when we go to this Instagram video or Instagram reel. Obviously, we can't listen to the audio because that's just how it is. It's always copyright. But it says, "Dasher, I left your food in the lobby." And then the audio is just someone screaming, right? That's all that it really is, right? And but as you can see, this video has 1 million likes. 1 million likes. That's an insane amount, right? 5 million views. This picked up a lot of traction. This became, I think, a catalyst for a big change that ended up happening. And then kind of going down that road here, we see another post. This is from 2024, right? This was only about a year ago. She is, dancing at what her job was at the time, which was, I think it was just like, she was doing like phone call stuff, right? But just in an office, she's clearly able to move. She's able to dance, she's able to do that stuff, which I think you might see that and be like, well, what's the big deal? It's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal because soon after this, that is not happening anymore, right? There's some really bad stuff that ends up happening. Moving on to September of 2024, here we have a post where she's talking about a time where she worked at Panera Bread, which I think is very interesting, right? So she goes on to write, I usually get the You Pick Two, which is a thing at Panera Bread. I don't know if they still do it, but half Napa almond chicken salad sandwich, half bread bowl, broccoli, and cheddar soup on the side with bread and a pastry. Anyways, I've worked now in different industries, especially since living in Seattle. And so I mainly work office jobs now, but I always remember the judgment when working physical jobs or the anxiety you have pulling up to the interview being a heavy person, right? This is something that I can relate to. I remember when I was at my heaviest, I got hired at the Vans shoe store, and I remember I was like so scared to do the interview because it was a group interview, and I just like spent the whole time kind of making fun of myself, but it ended up working. It was a fun job, but it was difficult because you had to climb up like ladders, and the weight limit on the ladder was 250. I was already well over 350 at the time. So I would be like working and sweating, and I'd be bringing people's shoes out just like drenched in sweat. It was tough, right? And so I appreciate that she's obviously trying to share the struggles and be relatable to an extent in this post, right? But she goes on to say, if you're an employer watching this, give that person a chance until they prove you otherwise. And if you're a person my size wanting to look for work, just do it. Just apply. You never know the kind of people you're going to meet or the friends you will make of a lifetime. Yes, there will be hard times, but it will also be rewarding. Plus, you'll be getting paid at the same time. You got this, right? And so here's a little bit of this video where she's kind of talking about the insecurity that she had with work and the fact that, Panera Bread kind of took a chance on her.
Your hometown isn't always roses and daisies. I always come back to this particular area. This is the first job I ever had in my hometown, ever in my life. Every time I visit home, I like to come here and reflect on where I am in that certain part of my life. I worked at Panera for 6 months when I turned 18 as a barista and a cashier. This is what I always get, except for I think they got rid of the Napa almond chicken salad sandwich. Not sure why. I kind of did regret getting that souffle because I ended up getting full way faster. A lot of people don't talk about job security and insecurity, but for people my size, it's really hard for companies and people to want to take a chance on you. There's a lot of judgment that comes with applying for jobs, and honestly, it happens to even skinny people. Panera was the first place that took a chance on me, and honestly, I loved every moment of it. I'm obviously going to turn 29 soon, so I had this job when I was 18, so times are way much different now. If you ever worked at Panera, you know. Anyways, bye guys, I hope you enjoyed this.
So I don't really know why she is in the bathroom at the end of this reel, but I think that it shows that she is someone that I think, at least to a certain extent, understands the situation that she's in, and she, is at least appreciative of the people that have taken a chance on her. And it seems like she is someone that I think in a perfect world, she would want to be in a better position than she's in now, right? She's clearly, this was only less than a year ago at this point, right? She was talking about how she was appreciative of this job that she had. She did enjoy working, and it's just so sad to see where things went from here. And so if we kind of continue going down this rabbit hole, we have this video right here, this is just, I don't think we have to go over the whole thing, but this is what things kind of started to turn into, right? She started to really lean into, I'm going to be a person that does mukbangs. And so she's doing a quote unquote mukbang in her car, right? Kind of just eating the food. And then you can really see the difference in in the comments, right? The video that we just watched, the comments were mostly supportive. You know, I love that you're talking about this. Not many people talk about this, all that stuff. But here we just see, you know, she's using her stomach as a table, right? Can we stop normalizing being unhealthy? Get a Cybertruck at this point. And like, there's just the comments were not as nice, but this is important. Look at the likes, right? So this has almost 200,000 likes. And if we go back to the last video we just watched, it barely has 1,600 likes, right? So there is clearly a huge discrepancy between these two videos, which I think is very sad because, you know, again, obviously she has decided to make the choices that she has made. And I'm not saying that it's, you know, it's not her fault and it's social media's. No. You have to take responsibility for the things that you are doing. But I think if you're going to be someone that's talking about this like I do, I think it's very important to try and understand, why would someone make these choices? Do I agree with the choices? No. But why does someone make those choices? And sadly, social media, it doesn't force you, but it highly encourages you to make content like this, right? Because we're talking about the greeters that enjoy watching these type of content. We talk about like the haters that enjoy leaving a funny comment and having a ton of people like that stuff, right? You get that dopamine from it. So comment, videos, posts, stuff like this that encourages that type of behavior does well. And then you are just rewarded and you want to continue making that content. And obviously I don't know for sure, but I think that this is truly a big reason why she ended up in the hospital. She ended up in the position that she is in now. This stuff is, I think, a big portion of it. This is why I talk so much about, you know, like greeterism content online, you know, these mukbangs that ended up getting really popular and how that can become an issue, right? That's a big part of this. And I think this story of her shows that slow decline really in her health, but in her own like just content as well, because she just started doing the easiest thing that got the most attention. Now, this is where the decline starts to get pretty rapid, right? So not long after that, she ended up going to this, or I think she was actually there before, right? So she was, around the same time of that last video that we watched, she ends up going to this house here, right? Which is called Paradise, which I've almost made a video on in the past, but we ended up scrapping it. But if you don't know, this is a house where this dude here, as you can see, has a bunch of plus-sized models that end up living there and making content out of there. It's almost like the Team 10 house from back in the day. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but you know, it's like a content creator house, but all of the content creators are very, very large women, right? And if we look at it's interesting, if we look at the tagged people in this, right, it's Hellcat, and then we have Thicky, Baby K, whoever these other people are, right? But the person that runs this, his name is SSBBW Fan 73. Not hiding the weirdness of this whole situation, right? And so she ends up moving in or just being at this house. I don't know exactly how it works, but her being at this house, I think, really contributed to things getting so much worse. And I've wanted to make a video about this house. I don't know if any of you are, want that. If you want me to do something like that, please leave a comment down in the comment section. But there has been a lot of, apparently, people that have ended up leaving the house have filed some lawsuits. There's just been some crazy stuff going on with this house. But that's a whole nother video, whole nother separate subject that we're not going to get into here. But the reason I am saying all of this, the reason I am talking about this house is because this house is when she ended up, she was at this house when she ended up going to the hospital, right? And so that leads us to this post, which is pretty gnarly, right? If we're looking at these photos, you can see how large she is, obviously at the time, but clearly she is in dire straits, right? And so this was posted in January, okay? in January, she posted this, and it goes on to say, I'm awake. Thank you, God. A lot of you have been wondering where I've been. Have a minute or two. And then she says, I turned 30 this year, and I've been through so much in my life, but this was and has been the hardest. God saved my life, and I have to believe that everything has a purpose, even though it's been extremely hard. On January 7th, my friends called paramedics because they checked my oxygen, and it was at a 58. That is unbelievably low. Okay, I just want to put that out there. I was also leaving the room. I also wasn't leaving the room or being myself, and my lips were changing colors. If it wasn't for them, I strongly believe I would not have waken up the next day. I was then transported to the ER. I tested positive for the flu and got pneumonia. My lungs filled up with liquid, and I was okay for a bit, but then I became unresponsive and not able to breathe on my own. I was placed in a medically induced coma and was intubated for several days. I was on life support, but God had a plan for me. I woke up. I have been working with speech therapy and physical therapy. It's hard for me to be positive because I'm still in the ICU and my right foot is asleep. I'm not able to walk yet, and I am so impatient, but I am better than I was yesterday, and I thank the churches and the people that knew and everyone else for praying for me. I'm going to be in here for a bit more. Then the goal is to go to rehab to regain mobility. My family has set a GoFundMe as I don't have Nevada insurance, and we're going to have to transport me back to California via road, not air. The full story is on the page, link in bio. I will try to keep you guys updated as much as I can, but for now, please share the link in the prayers, right? So she's asking for help. So obviously we see this post. So the next thing we're going to do is look at this GoFundMe. So this GoFundMe was posted, and as you can see, $1,500 raised out of $15,000. So, not obviously we're not getting the full amount. I don't think we really need to go over the whole GoFundMe, but as you can see, this GoFundMe was posted. They kind of talk about the whole story, but a lot of it's kind of the stuff that we read in that Instagram post. But we have another GoFundMe being posted, but what I think is very interesting is there really wasn't much like updates after this. If we look at the comments on the Instagram post, it says, from 9 weeks ago, she's gone, guys. That's not true, but people were very, very curious. I wonder how that happened. And then, people were just, any update, hope she's okay. She hasn't uploaded anything in a while. And then 8 weeks ago, I've been checking as well. The last she posted was on her story. She's had bed sores, but again, this was 2 months ago. People were curious. Like no one knew. There was people speculating she's obviously not alive, right? She's not alive. People are saying these things, right? Clearly and thankfully that's not the case, because we get the final update that we've had so far a few days ago. So this was from May 1st on her TikTok, right? And so we're going to be going over this whole video actually, because I think, this is the most recent kind of update that we have. And, thankfully she's alive, but I think she's still in the hospital. I don't know for sure if she's gotten out and put back in or what's been going on. But again, the comments are just interesting. That medical bill is going to be wild, right? So I think that's kind of, she hasn't left the hospital since all of this happened in January of this year. Okay, so let's go ahead and see the update of what's been going on.
Guys, today's May 1st, 2025. Eat with me while I answer a couple questions.
So doing an eat with me while I answer a couple questions, again, it's like, it feels like it's just on purpose, right? Like just intentionally trying to, like, why does it have to be an eat with me? I don't know. Maybe that's judgmental, but it's just like, why are we doing this? Why?
Today for breakfast, I have Cheerios. For the entree, it is, I think like pancakes with scrambled eggs. And it's supposed to come with bacon, but I have my diet marked as no pork, no seafood. So I don't think I got the bacon. This is what it looks like. Let me show you the tray. One thing I do love is the scrambled eggs. I do have short hair now. My friend had to cut it off because it was completely matted and untangable.
So her hair had obviously gotten matted, I'm assuming, from not being able to really move at all. Again, it's very sad. You know, the situation is very sad.
If you're wondering what this oxygen is, it's called the high flow. Can someone tell me what this line is on my head? I've had it here for like more than 2 months, and I don't know what it is. So I technically have two iPhones, and one of them had, I can't even tell you how many drafts. And when I woke up from my second intubation, I've been intubated 3 times now, technically 4, but 3.
So she's been intubated multiple times, right, at that point.
And when I woke up, I was trying to put in my passcode so many times that the iPhone ended up locking itself. The only option it gave me was to erase iPhone. So I lost all my content, all my drafts. Like, you guys, I was sad for like weeks.
So obviously, you know, I think worrying about the content that you lost is just like, there is so many more important things going on, you know, more important than content. Like, I don't even know what to say. Let's just keep going.
You don't understand because like I wanted to post that stuff, but anyway, a couple of facts. In a couple of days, I will have been here for 4 months. For 4 months, I have not showered properly. I have not walked.
4 months has not moved, right? That's, I guess I understand that, the top comment, you know, the medical bill. I don't, I mean, at that point, what's like, how are you? I don't even know.
I like my scrambled eggs with ketchup. Like only half though. And then half without. Today, I asked for Cholula or hot sauce. I love it. I don't know if I should keep it though. I don't really know if I want to eat it with my... I'm going to keep it for something more delicious that needs hot sauce. I don't really think I need hot sauce with my eggs. My breakfast has been sitting here for 2 hours. I don't know why I do that. Hopefully it's not that cold.
I mean, it's been sitting there for 2 hours, brother. I mean, I can't imagine it's warm.
It's cold. It's alright. I know a lot of you guys have been worried about me or have been praying for me. I want to say thank you. I'm still waiting to get transferred to a rehab place where I'm supposed to work on walking and all that stuff. One thing in these last 4 months that I've learned a lot of things, like having patience and stuff like that. And yes, I only have one working arm. Dang, I forgot. Oh,
One working arm, man.
portion control. It is insane. Like, now that I've been eating like this for 4 months, it is insane to know how much I was consuming every meal. And I'm not talking about just calories. I'm talking about like the size. And the thing is, like, I know it's only been 4 months to some people, but 4 months is a long time.
I mean, 4 months is a very long time to be stuck in a bed, right? But it's interesting, right? Hearing her kind of talk about the realization of how many calories that she was actually eating. This is something it's very common, right? Anyone that's trying to lose weight, especially like if you start to kind of track or you start to really be aware of that stuff. This is why I talk a lot about tracking can be helpful. I know it doesn't work for everybody, whatever, but it can be really helpful because it can teach you just how many calories maybe you have been eating or how many calories you are eating, all of that stuff, right? It's an important tool. It might not be something that you use forever, but it's something that can be invaluable, right? Because you learn, like once you learn how many calories are in certain things, you're never going to unlearn that stuff, right? And so learning how many calories are in XYZ thing can be very, very helpful, right? And so it's just interesting that it took, obviously her going to the hospital to actually, get this stuff nailed in. Yeah.
And it's just crazy. Like this. Is that weird? The hardest part, one really hard part, one hard thing for me was watching TV because of all the food commercials. I'm telling you, food commercial after food commercial after food commercial, that just shows you like how much America, like we're very like inspired, influenced. America is influenced by whatever you see. There's so many food commercials. I'm talking about like, I don't even want to name them. Like, I'd be intubated, I'd have tubes in my mouth, okay? And I was being tube fed. And I had a sip of water. And when this, I'm talking about one in particular, the Chick-fil-A commercial. When they would show the Chick-fil-A or any fast food place, when they show the drink, like the Coca-Cola or like the Sprite, how carbonated, like how the drink looks, makes your mouth water. I don't know how to explain how that works, but it works. And
it's crazy to hear someone that is talking about being intubated and basically still having all of these crazy cravings. That's where it's like, I know there's a lot of argument between whether food or not is addictive or sugar is addictive, all of this stuff. I think maybe if you're like using the specific definition, but I mean, just in general, like I think that there are plenty of people that struggle with addiction to food, whether or not it's a chemical addiction or whatever, right? Like just that want, right? That want that you have can be so unbelievably strong. It's crazy to see someone that has been in a hospital bed for 4 months, and let's be real, most likely because of their weight. I don't think I really have to say that, but people get freaked out. Most likely because of their weight, being like, I just wanted the thing that put me in this hospital bed. It's so sad to see. It's so sad to see.
I was influenced and I would cry. Actual tears and I'd tell my nurses, I'd be like, I'm so thirsty. I'm so thirsty. And it's the truth. Bon appetit. Well, let's hope I can start walking soon. This was kind of a long video. I need to post an update everywhere. Just keep rooting for me, and I will do my best. I'm hoping to get transferred soon, so that I can start walking. I just can't believe it. Like 4 months ago, I was dancing, I was swimming, I was walking. I've always done everything for myself. I've never been bedbound, and this has been it's been traumatic, but it's been a very hard journey.
So like she said there, right? 4 months ago, she was walking around, she was dancing, she was doing all that stuff, and now she's bedbound. And this is why it's so important, man, to take care of that stuff and just understand that like anybody is so close to that, right? Obviously it can happen to anybody, but like when we're talking about weight, like this is something that we have some level of control over, right? And so like it is just so important to take that to heart and just do what you can to make it so your weight isn't hindering your life. This is what I talk about when I talk about, body positivity or health at every size, is like, yeah, for the most part, a lot of the stuff that those people say, I'm like, you know what? I agree with that. I understand where you're coming from, being treated poorly when you're going to the doctors, all this stuff. I can feel that, right? I've experienced that. But once we are talking about this level, right, when we are bedbound or we are so thin that, we're not able to do XYZ thing, that's when it's like, it is irrational to support that. And I think it is morally wrong to support that and say that this is completely fine, right? This is clearly someone that is going through something, and just saying, just continue doing what you're doing, it's fine, is ridiculous, right? And I think more than anything, right, which is what I said earlier in the video, just how content and social media has just exploded this type of behavior, because it is so easy to monetize this. It is so easy to make money eating food on the internet. And that ends up becoming a prison for people that ends up unaliving them. That's what ends up happening, sadly, right? And I don't want that for her. I don't want that to happen, right? And so I genuinely hope that Xiomara is able to come out of this and improve her life and get to a point where she's not bedbound anymore, where she's able to walk around. But I hope if that happens, she understands just how important and how lucky she is to have the second chance at life, and to take it seriously and try to make some serious changes, not go back to Paradise BBW house and live with, like, that is not the place for you. Those are not people that are actually have your best interest at heart. They might have your best interest for right now, getting you all the food that you want and doing content with you, but that is not the house to be in if you want to live until you are 40. If you want to live until you are 50. Those people don't care about that. They don't. They don't. And that is what I hope she understands and sees through all of this. It has been a very interesting kind of journey looking through her whole, online life. And it's very interesting that she was, on that Dr. Drew show, and just everything that has happened to this point. I truly do hope that she gets better. I hope that this is a happy story, but more than anything, this is a cautionary tale, and something that I've talked a lot about with the prevalence of these mukbangs and being able to make content out of that, and just how that can end up really derailing someone's life. And I feel like that's kind of something that's happened here. But I would love to know what y'all think down in the comments section down below. Thank you so much for watching this. If you made it to the end, make sure you hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. I appreciate you being here so much, and I will see you next time. Peace.